and we'll just find out exactly what these two teams are going to go with. First ban out of the gate here will in fact be Lulu. Interestingly enough, not a champion that teams have really been banning against FNATIC up until now.
No, because they haven't necessarily been too afraid of it. sOAZ on Lulu has not exactly been mind-blowing in recent weeks. Did play a lot towards the end of the spring split, so to speak, but no focus on those AD carries yet. And we know that Creaton and Rekkles both like to play that Lucian. Rekkles has been playing Graves recently, for better or for worse, and there are options available to them. But that Twitch is still up, as is the likes of Lee Sin, which is a jungler that both Cotnex and Cyanide have both played in the past.
You said Elise gone, Eve gone as well, so a couple of big jungle bans coming out. Leaves, of course, the Lee Sin, the Kazakhs, two champions that, well, you have to play as a jungler these days. Cotnex, of course, has been favoring more the Kazakh side of things, and we've seen him so strong so many times on that Kazakhs as well. Yesterday, of course, not quite working out for them against Alliance, but I almost want to wipe that game away because the loss against Alliance was just not a game that MILLENIUM showed as anything from. Either way, there is the Kassadin blue side ban that we expected from MILLENIUM, and there's Kazakhs taken away. So two junglers aimed straight at Cotnex.
I'm much more interested to see if this is going to be a first pick Lee Sin.
Yeah.
In terms of your like super high priority junglers, Elise, Lee Sin, Evelynn, and Kazakhs are right up there. And with three of them being banned away, this puts priority on MILLENIUM. Do they want to maybe take a Twitch for Creaton, who can carry games, or maybe give the Twitch to FNATIC? Do they want to lock in Lee Sin, which is what I'm expecting? And this could be a Twitch Lucian lock-in now for Rekkles and YellOwStaR. The question is, what does Cyanide run in the jungle? You know, does he want to go for a Jarvan? Does he want to run something a little different? You know, because the primary, the go-tos are no longer available for him.
Yeah, we said if we think back to Season 3, we had a holy trinity of AD carries for a while. Right now, it's basically 4 junglers. If it's Shaco, I would literally... Yeah, he's trolling us.
Yeah, I'm not going to believe it.
There's no way he's going to play Shaco. There's 4 junglers right now that most people are going for. Really, the only exception is maybe Yorick that we've seen come out a couple of times from Airwax. I don't expect it to be Skarner either, but...
It really could be. You know, it could be. There's a lockdown. It could be a Shyvana we've seen run in the jungle before. There's options. My gut tells me Jarvan. My gut tells me Jarvan did receive some tweaks earlier. Mostly focused was helping him in top lane with some damage. But Cyanide's got 2 seconds left. We still don't know. We still don't know what that jungle is going to be. And I don't even know where to theorize. I don't even know where to look. If I were Cyanide, I do think the Jarvan might be likely because Cyanide was a Jarvan player last year. So he does have that experience and that knowledge to fall back onto.
What we do know from FNATIC's side, though, they're going to have Twitch in the hands of Rekkles. Played Twitch once so far in the summer split against the Copenhagen Wolves, where he ended 7-1-10. Fantastic performance there. And they'll have Thresh for YellOwStaR as well, which... You know, he's not been a big fan of Thresh in the past. He's admitted that openly. Played it against SK in the opening game of the split, but not really gone back to it since. On the other side, MILLENIUM also taking their AD carry Lucian and the Shyvana lock-in.
What I really like about the Thresh lock-in is something that YellOwStaR didn't do last week against Vander. He picked Morgana when it was available and gave Vander Thresh. They really struggled in the early stages of the game. Now this time around, the Thresh, while it may not be YellOwStar's go-to or preferred champion, it's denying it from Jree. You do not want to give the wife-steal lane to Creaton and Jree. It is a combo that they use very effectively. I do want to touch on mid laners. LeBlanc is up, Nidalee is up, Ziggs is up. I'm expecting probably 2 of those 3 to be locked in, and I don't know where they're going to land for either Kerp or xPeke. Kerp played LeBlanc first pick against Alliance yesterday, did not have the impact he was looking for, may need to find something else today.
Well, right now xPeke going through a couple. Nunu, of course.
Yep.
Nunu in the jungle here, going to be coming out for FNATIC and for Cyanide. We've seen it before from them, of course, already in months past, I think we can say. Nunu never really was a big pick here in Europe, of course, so a lot more in Korea.
I don't think we do it right. I think Chinese jungle Nunus are probably my favorites when I watch any of the regions. It has been played in Korea by a few specific teams, but I do feel that the Chinese teams do it better. Even if you go back to All-Stars, it was the Chinese squads that ran Nunu that did it very effectively. You have to play around Nunu so well, or patiently, because all of your damage is going to now come from xPeke in the mid lane, I think maybe a Ziggs might be quite smart. If you get the Trundle pillar and the Nunu absolute zero, it just buys so much time for Twitch to get damage out, for Ziggs potentially throw bombs around the map. I like the fact that Kerp is thinking about stealing it away, because in terms of this last pick for FNATIC, there needs to be a lot of damage. There needs to be a lot of damage coming in, because you've got Lucian, Shyvana, Ziggs that can melt through your teams, as well as Lucian, of course. And that's a last-second swap that I was not anticipating.
That was a very, very, very last-second swap, actually, for Creaton, for Kerp, of course, in the end. LKarthus in the mid lane. Jree was hovering over Blitzcrank. I was wondering, since we're on 4.8 here, whether we're going to see a little bit more Blitz, since his mana costs were brought down somewhat. Sadly, we're going to have to wait for that for another time. But it's Morgana locked in. Now we'll see what FNATIC go with. And it's a Nidalee, something that xPeke, of course, has had mostly banned away from him in previous games.
So in terms of, like, team fights, FNATIC are going to have so much reliance on that absolute zero and those pillars of ice to line up Twitch for rat-a-tat-tat and those javelin tosses. They are also going to be looking to kite backwards. There is so many tools for FNATIC to hit and run, hit and run, hit and run. The Blood Boil, as well as the attack speed heal from Nidalee on Twitch, plus his ultimate, is going to decimate people. He is going to get so much free attack speed from those two champions alone that as long as he's not locked down in place by a Dark Binding or by Shyvana jumping onto him, he's going to deal damage. The one thing that I'm scared about for Kerp is how is he going to get into position to put Defile down and win a team fight. FNATIC are not going to want to stay in a single place long enough. Cyanide will, because he has to channel absolute zero, but nobody else will. Trundle's going to be moving around, Twitch is going to be moving around, Thresh is going to be moving around. So there's so much pressure on Kerp to get in the right place, to get the Defile, to get that Death-Defied passive down. I'm not a believer yet, but he has to convince me.
And the fact is you're probably going to get speared down to half HP before you even get close anyway. But guys, now that the champions are locked in, who do you think has the advantage? Let us know by tweeting hashtag MILWin or hashtag FNCWin to @LOLEsports, and we'll see a little bit later on who you think came out ahead of Champion Select.
It's a difficult thing to read, because I think this Karthus pick is going to have a difficult time against the composition of FNATIC to really get in a key position. But I like the rest of the damage from the squad, so if Lucian, Shyvana, and Lucian do a good job, hell, you just press R as Karthus and you can win a fight that way. So I do like that tool, but on the same token, how good is Cyanide's Nunu? Because if it's not good, he's not going to have the presence.
Well, here we go, in-game MILLENIUM versus FNATIC. A lot of questions to be answered with this one, considering the fact that MILLENIUM had such a great week one, were outplayed and frankly obliterated by Alliance yesterday. I said after that game that MILLENIUM probably just want to scratch that one almost from their memory and move on with things. We'll see if they've done that here today. FNATIC, however much slump or on a downward spiral or whatever you want to call it that they may be in right now, they are always going to be a threat.
Can't deny that fact. And they've got champions, with the exception of their Nunu, that are very, very scary. If xPeke starts landing some good javelins down, that can completely control the tempo of a game. Absolutely loving the energy in the crowd today, celebrating the award placements. Now, MILLENIUM are a team that do well at level 1s. They didn't go for a blue trinket invade this time, but they've got all five of the members of their team. If they wanted to try to control the blue buff and deny that from Cyanide, that would buy them a lot of time. Cyanide on this jungle Nunu is very dependent on that blue buff if he wants to have good wave clear. But he can, of course, go for some strong counter jungles, thanks to their Consume, and thanks to just the power of Consume Smite, now that, of course, Smite is on a lower cooldown. And the reason I say that, it has been a while since we've seen Nunu at the EU LCS level. And it'll be interesting to see how Cyanide handles himself.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen a Nunu, if that's what you want to call it, or an EU new, something like that anyway. We'll find out how good Cyanide is on it at the moment and how effective it's going to be. Certainly will be better than my terrible jokes, that's for sure.
Yeah, keep a lid on the Panzer, because they could snowball out of control very, very quickly. It does look like FNATIC are going to try and do a counter buff because of the positional play MILLENIUM did earlier on red. This is so smart. MILLENIUM have baited FNATIC to come in, but they've gone a little quickly. They actually anticipated FNATIC to go for the invade. They've caught Cyanide.
They caught Cyanide, but do they have the damage? They need Kerp to come down from that mid lane, but he's just farming up a storm right now, trying to get ahead. Oh, xPeke finally he comes down. They land the Q onto sOAZ, and in the end they have to back away. It'll slow down both sides here on the start in the jungle, and looks like they're probably going to both get their own camps for the first time in a while that we're seeing. Funnily enough, it was the ward from MILLENIUM that was put down very early on that red that really caught them out, and now Jree is going to try and be a pain in the rear end and doing a good job of that as well. The blue, of course, did go over in the end to Cyanide, though. He was able to smite that one away, and look at Jree. He is not messing around here. All the way up on the enemy side of the map, putting down the pressure like an absolute boss. Where is he going? He doesn't care. I mean, there's two guys in vision. He knows that Nidalee is in mid lane. No problem. He's
delayed and slowed down both sOAZ and Cyanide. They've missed out on the wolf camp. It's delayed them getting to red buff. It's allowed Creaton to have solo farm experience, which will give him a level advantage. That was actually a very smart play from Jree, and maybe I got a little overexcited regarding the red buff invade because it looked as though FNATIC were anticipating a buff steal of their own. FNATIC had started the lane swap and went for an incredibly risky steal. They were on the side of the map where MILLENIUM had a numbers advantage, and they ran the risk of being surrounded. I think they were lucky to get away unscathed. Now this is the smart play. They've grouped up on the side of the map where they have the numbers advantage, and they're going to try and bully MILLENIUM into giving up this ward. Double trinkets are best trinkets, and they're going to have this.
Said it before that 2 wards are always better than 1, and there's no exceptions to that rule. Blue buff going here over to Cyanide once again. And are we going to see a 4-man push on this turret? You'd expect so. I mean, Nunu gives them prime position to do that by getting the blood boil off onto Twitch to get that damage coming in. Mid lane being passive as we'd have expected by now. I just want to touch on summoner spells there. Kerp actually going with the exhaust. If we remember back to what Froggen was telling us about Karthus, now he really prefers to have Ignite and really basically throw your entire mana pool out there at level 1 to do the damage.
Look at Jree.
Not going to be the same here. There's a cleanse for Jree, for xPeke, which we're going to see in action there, but will it be enough to get him away? There's a lot of damage coming in. No dive though, play it safe.
Yeah, if 1 or 2 more attacks plus an Ignite could have resulted in a kill.
Exactly.
Down to 200 hit points at level 4 plus Ignite, that would potentially have been first blood. At the end of the day, Jree is doing very well with this roaming support Morgana. MILLENIUM have responded to their blue buff steal by forcing the summoner spells on Peke and now controlling the map. You have to remember that Cyanide is not going to offer a whole lot in the counter gank scenario. He can run into a lane, allow someone to run away quickly and maybe slow down an opponent, but there's not a lot of turnaround kill potential on that Nunu unless MILLENIUM completely and utterly overcommit. So I like the play by MILLENIUM. If they continue this aggressive ganking roaming play, it might work out. But here comes the 2 members of the Freljord. Kerp's in trouble.
Well, there is the slow of the wall of pain. Kerp going to try and flash away from things after coming back around, and he's going to die here underneath. No! Yes, he is going to go down. It's Peke that gets it actually in the end. First blood after all that, going over to FNATIC.
That is what FNATIC will be looking to do over and over and over again. If they combine the slows of the Trundle and the Nunu, slows can be as effective, if not more effective, than snares or roots, for example. So very nice play by sOAZ. He still hasn't gone to lane, hasn't put himself in a position where he can just be shut down by the 2v1s, for example, and grabs himself an assist off a very interesting combined gank. It's not often you see Trundle and Nunu ganking for mid lane at 5 minutes.
No, and I think Kerp could have possibly done that better as well. We saw how he did a circle back around the pillar before flashing back into the lane. We could argue about that all day, I suppose, and don't really want to say that Kerp did anything other than to the best of his knowledge there, but you always have to wonder in those little scenarios. Either way, it leaves FNATIC, of course, ahead now with that 1 kill, although that is not by a huge amount of gold. And for the reason that Kerp, despite his death, still out farming there. The AD carries a couple of CS difference. Carnex is leading on CS when you look to the junglers as well. Yeah,
you expect Karthus to win the CS though, especially pre-6. Those lay wastes do so much work in pushing the lane, keeping Peke on the back foot, and it is quite difficult to CS with Nidalee, especially against larger waves, until you get that AoE of your Cougar form. But I do want to see how FNATIC handle themselves as this game progresses. Jree is continuing to show a desire to roam. It's going to throw out the Dark Binding, which goes way wide, I'm afraid. But Cyanide, again, there's not a lot of threat here. There's not a lot of times you'll see a support literally bullying a jungler away. Nunu is going to be a lot more utility reliant. He needs to get the blood boils down. He needs to deny the attack speed with the use of those snowballs, and ideally get a good absolute zero placement. All of MILLENIUM are here, and they're dealing with 4 members of FNATIC. Rekkles couldn't join in for this next blue buff even if he wanted to, so we'll see how long MILLENIUM do this blue buff dance.
Kevin's actually going to TP away here, going to have to keep this top outer turret alive. But that was pressured a little bit by Rekkles, who, once again, we find it that a lot of these top AD carries are left by the rest of the team. When it comes to these 2v1s, the support say, okay, you really don't need me right now to share the XP and take away from you. We're just going to leave you alone. You're going to be safe anyway. You just farm up whatever you can in there, as xPeke does get his blue buff. Similar scenario there as well at the moment on the other side for Creaton, who's actually slightly ahead here in CS. Jree has now gone back down to help him out, but as far as those things go, it's pretty much been AD carry versus solo lane for quite a while in that top and bottom side.
Yeah, this is a super interesting start to the game. Oh, there's a gank on Peck in the mid.
Slow down, and again, the cleanse going to be used as he goes through it. Nice use of that, and xPeke stays safe. No real problem for him, especially since he's now level 7, has the Cougar farm as well to just pounce away from it.
So Summoner Spell blown, it is around about a 3-minute cooldown for Peck at the moment, so there is that window where he can get punished. And this is the interesting thing, both teams have been roaming around the map, and like if you've watched competitive league for a while, you go all the way back to season 1 when roaming supports and jungle Nunu were the default. That was the style of play when LCS used to reign supreme. The only reason I highlight that, the bottom tower will fall for FNATIC shortly. Creaton's done a pretty good job, but that's because sOAZ has spent such an extended period of time moving around the map, trying to help the rest of FNATIC. FNATIC again with the roam in the lane swap. They're going to look to challenge blue. Looks like it's smited by Continent, so they've denied that from Kerp, which is very important. It delays his tier stacking, reduces the cooldown on Requiem, and it actually looks like FNATIC have done a pretty good job at pressuring mid.
Stops also the likelihood of a fast dragon attempt for MILLENIUM, of course. The blue buff Karthus very quick at taking down both the Baron and the dragon, so not really an option, and I don't think either team's feeling quite comfortable enough that they've got enough real control over the map right now to be thinking of that big objective down on the bottom side of the river. But here's a bit more pressure maybe coming xPeke's way. But as I said, he's already gone past that level 6 point, and he can jump away. No cleanse for him though, and there is the wall of pain coming down. The Q is dodged, and that will be the end of that.
Little uninspiring there. I think Continent's anticipating the Duke, xPeke anticipating the anticipation. Manages to sidestep appropriately. This has become a war of attrition between Kevin and sOAZ specifically. The solo laners are all, your AD carry and your mid laner have been doing pretty well to keep at a basically like league standard CS level. Around 80 to 85 is what you expect from LCS levels at 10 minutes. Now we see Continent, he's going aggressive.
Ooh, very aggressive as well. Onto sOAZ, there's the kick against the wall. Spears come flying through, and in the end the turret goes down, but it's sOAZ who pays for it with his life.
Look at Jree, they want to play Dark Binding onto xPeke.
Oh, he will land as well. Cleanse isn't available for him. They should surely get this one. Flash though is up for xPeke, and he flashes back behind the turret.
Can MILLENIUM get this tower? There's enough members of FNATIC to defend, and they're not even going to commit for it. So a kill for a tower is a trade FNATIC will take. And sOAZ, I think, oh, there we go. Okay, so he bought an Avarice Blade and immediately sold it. So he's not going to lose gold for that one. He will have the buyback option.
I don't like that.
But I got panicky for a second. And because of sOAZ roaming and moving around the map, and it actually doesn't even look like he wants to face off against Creaton, he's down 16 CS to Kevin. He has been involved in a kill, so he does have that assist to his name and some experience. But now all of a sudden, FNATIC, they are the ones trying to make the plays. They've really tried to deny this blue buff. It will be respawning in a few minutes' time. They've got wards down, and FNATIC again just trying to prevent MILLENIUM getting hold of their own resources.
Tribush ward actually will spot out Cyanide. They'd already seen YellOwStaR and sOAZ moving in to this top outer turret as well. Nothing that they can do though. They're simply outnumbered there. FNATIC coming in nicely. They're going to let some of this CS go to waste so that doesn't go over in the end to either Kevin or Continent. The turret goes down. That'll be FNATIC's second one of the game. That leaves them a little bit of gold in the lead. Not masses of gold though.
No, it's not. And you have to remember that FNATIC were 6 towers up to 1 yesterday against Gambit and still managed to lose the game. So MILLENIUM are going to get their first tower on the board. This should also put them ahead in gold, I believe. And the one thing we have to keep our eyes on sOAZ. Alliance kept sOAZ down for a very long time, and it helped them win. This was, of course, a Shyvana versus Jax matchup. sOAZ on Trundle will be able to steal the tanky stats of Shyvana, which is a great ability to have. And I think he's going to be very important from a utility perspective. Jree, once again, xPeke, cleanse is available though.
Coming up behind him, no flash cleanse is there, no dark binding landing onto xPeke in the end. Instead, Cyanide comes around and says, throw it at the Yeti and all will be good. Doesn't lose any health. xPeke was down to less than half, but not the scariest. Could have been a lot scarier if Cyanide wouldn't have been there at that moment though.
So something that you highlighted was that Kerp was running exhaust earlier on. Jree is also running exhaust, so it's a double exhaust team. That's interesting because of the limited number of threats from FNATIC. So if those exhausts are well timed, it will help them secure objectives. I don't think there's a blue steel possibility because it's going down too quickly, but there is a teleport coming in from Kevin, so there may be a follow-up fight.
Are they going to follow through? Wall of Pain goes down. Whoa, YellOwStaR. That is a box out of position, but in the end, no one was looking.
Yes and no, because the Trundle pillar was off to the right of the river and the box was off to the left. So what it meant is if MILLENIUM wanted to engage, they needed to get through one or the other form of CC. I anticipate FNATIC will do that. I think they will layer their CCs. Absolute Zero Central, box off to one of the sides, pillar off to the other. You don't want to stack them all on top of each other because you don't create a zone of control to buy Rekkles and xPeke time to get the damage down. We'll see if it comes to pass in the next few minutes, but I think it's intentional.
Very possible. If it happens again, then I'll believe you on that one. I still remember YellOwStaR throwing everything down in the bottom tri-bush in the sprinklers. So
he's never done that before.
Never done it. First time for everything here. FNATIC are going to be stacking up a couple of men in mid. Of course, the outer turret was already taken as their first of the game just a few moments ago, or a few moments, it's a few minutes by now. We are already here at 14 minutes into the game. What I want to just take notice of is the ward situation. You can see that again, FNATIC going to put down big pressure, deny Kerp another blue.
That's a third blue in a row. FNATIC have gone for an aggressive move on. And at 14 minutes on the clock, sOAZ has finally overtaken the 1 CS per minute bracket. This is the first time that sOAZ has got his hands on any form of creep score, and that minion wave does appear to be pushing towards him. So we need to see how sOAZ is going to manage this, if he's going to decide to freeze it or push that wave down. He has teleport available, which means there are tools, but I think it's very important for sOAZ now to get some experience on the board, get some gold on the board. Jree playing with his life. One good spear will kill him.
If it can come from anyone, xPeke may just be that guy. That was real close to being max range. YellOwStaR actually on top of a ward and will scan the wrong side of that brush, but he's trying to get some deep vision down. Will manage to claim a ward by the red buff as well, but they failed to spot the one there that was on top of xPeke's trap. Either way, 15 minutes into this one, as you said, sOAZ finally getting some farm, getting past the 1 CS a minute, which is still missing a 0. It's missing a 0 for what you effectively need it to be. Behind in levels, which is going to be the real killer to him for a while in this top lane, though.
It is, but there's not really a lot of kill threat. The moment Kevin jumps in there with his Dragon's Descent, all of the bonus stats that sOAZ can steal and the lifesteal that comes with it is so good. Now, the FNATIC, they continue their jungle invades. Jree lands a good Dark Binding, but there's no follow-up. And FNATIC have just put such a strong emphasis on this objective control. We do see Cullen coming out. They've caught Creaton.
Hook comes onto Creaton. I don't think they've got the follow-through for it here, though. And Rekkles actually catching the tower aggro there because of the poison that he's thrown down in Creaton's direction. But that's 4 men there for FNATIC. They've got Blood Boil on the Twitch. They just need to wait for that next minion wave to actually come across. In the end, it looks like they decided that they're not going to be able to carve an opening.
It is quite difficult to get through that Lightbringer queue from Lucian. It is pretty good wave clear. And I think if you combine the rest of the wave clear from MILLENIUM with Karthus and with Morgana, it's unorthodox, but I do think it should be relatively effective. If you actually look at the side of FNATIC, there is no safe wave clear on their squad. So if MILLENIUM ever do get themselves in a siege position, they theoretically could push FNATIC back. But SK showed yesterday against a Nidalee, they are very scared to siege up because they don't want to run the risk of being counter-engaged, don't want to run the risk of being jumped on. Don't really know if a Trundle and a Nunu can turn around a siege, but for the time being, if MILLENIUM can go even, then force FNATIC to defend, I think MILLENIUM have got a better composition to keep FNATIC at the towers and play a little safer.
So xPeke pouncing a little bit too early as he's going to get hit by the wall of pain. I think rightly so, choosing not to use his cleanse at that moment. Not really enough threat from Kerp. If Cornex had been there a few seconds ago, that may have been slightly different for him. But this mid lane, been pretty much as expected. You have a couple of ganks here and there, forcing a few summer spells out, but honestly, it's been more about getting the farm going, and Peke currently having the better time.
It'll be interesting to see how FNATIC prioritize this next blue buff and the dragon. Because unless my math is totally terrible, they should be spawning within a fairly close time frame. Look at the vision that FNATIC have given themselves on the red side of Millennium's jungle. That is just littered with wards. The moment Millennium move through either for the buff or to get towards a dragon, FNATIC are going to have all of that information to play with, and they need that deep vision for both Nunu and Trundle to get in appropriate positions, and for Peke to land those javelins. Without having appropriate jungle wards, Peke is not going to be able to poke them down enough before a big team fight breaks out. So a lot of emphasis will be on positioning for FNATIC as this game continues to expand and become more about movement towards these objectives.
Cyanide, they're just getting caught by the binding of Jree, but he's pretty much alone there, is Jree. Lucian down in the bottom lane. Shyvana was back at base, and the other two actually in mid lane for now, so no real pressure back there from Millennium, kind of allowing FNATIC to come in and say, okay, you're going to push us away from it, get your wards down, we'll clear them out afterwards, but it's all going to be about Dragon, and we'll see how that all works out here, because that will be coming up in 10 seconds. Blue buff just picked up. Millennium will secure their own red, so those wards not in there for the invade, but for this impending Dragon, they'll be there in a couple of seconds.
I actually think it's very difficult for Millennium to break through a positional play that FNATIC may put together. We do see Millennium, they've got a numbers advantage, and they're going to be shoving down this outer turret, but they don't have the minions to work with. They've caught Peke.
Wall of Pain down, but he actually gets away and then takes a different route by the Lantern. The spear just dodged there by the Millennium team, and that spear going to be very effective at holding them back for making that positioning move to get in position for the Dragon. There is a lot of damage from sOAZ as well on the inner turret. Finally, Kevin does come back away, and that will be enough to send in packing. We should notice both TPs are available for the top laners should it come down to this Dragon fight as another spear lands.
That Javelin could have just given FNATIC Dragon. Because of the fact that the Soul Shackles is not available from Jree, the opportunities and possibilities of a fight are lower. But Millennium, they want to contest for this. You touched on that teleport. Here comes Kevin.
Teleport coming down. It's going to be taken though by FNATIC. Cyanide going very low. Takes a Lantern to safety. But it's sOAZ now that's out of position. That is going to be a pillar that seals his own fate. And he's going to go down here. That's Creaton picking up a kill. In the end, we did actually see Rekkles finishing off, but it's going to be a LKarthus Requiem that gets them a kill back. Can they find Peke? Where's he going? Peke was trying to get back, but Lucian surely going to block off his path. There is Creaton!
The Lantern!
Oh! The double auto attack from the Light Slinger going straight through there, and both landing for another kill for Millennium.
Very, very well played by Millennium. FNATIC tried to rush the Dragon down, but unfortunately, they didn't manage to stack their ultimate. Cyanide was on full retreat, so because he couldn't offer that zone of control with absolute zero and stack it with the Trundle pillar and the box, for example, in a perfect world, it allowed Millennium to run them down. I said, how does Kerp get in position? And you're about to see the answer. FNATIC are split up, completely split up. By the time sOAZ arrives, FNATIC are in full retreat. Absolute Zero has done nothing. The box of YellOwStaR, now yes, it blocks off the wall, the entry, but it's too late. Kerp is already in position. Kerp has already, got the defile down on absolutely everyone. And then just a good play there by Creaton. He's in trouble now.
Oh, he's dead. In fact, Peke will pick up that one. They're going to go for Kevin, who will use his ultimate to actually move away from it. The spear will connect as well, but he's tanky enough right now to actually get through from that. While the replay was going on, you saw in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen that the outer turret of FNATIC was removed from the map by Millennium. And look at this, FNATIC going for Baron. I'm not sure how aware Millennium are of this.
Now, if FNATIC use their poke correctly, they could work this up, but Millennium do seem to be aware. There is no Requiem nor Flash available for Kerp. Baron is down low. That's a great spear.
That may just be enough to stop them from going in. More spears flying through. Baron is down to 2,000 HP. Hook coming in, they go in, and it's FNATIC that do get the Baron in the end. But what are they going to pay for it? Right now, one man has gone down. Rekkles also going very low. Will flash away. Kevin's going to try and chase him through from this one. There's a lot of damage. There is the stealth up. Can he escape from it? Millennium are Kevin trying to predict his path, does get away in the end, and it's FNATIC that secure Baron.
2 for 1, it's not over yet.
It's not over, Jree shields. Peke not going to be able to hit him, but he pounces away from the binding. That is sure death here for Jree.
It is, and all of a sudden, Kevin's going to get chased down.
And it's a hook. A hook lands from YellOwStaR. The play will knock him back. It's another kill. Is this a double kill even in the end for xPeke?
FNATIC secure 4 kills. They secure Baron. They secure absolute map control. And MILLENIUM, they just took too many skill shots and too much damage early on. MILLENIUM commit to this fight. They have very little to work with. There was no Requiem there. No key ability. Jree is on full retreat. The rest of MILLENIUM are picking up fights, and Jree is a little confused and in and out. Unfortunately, couldn't offer a whole lot to that fight.
Gonna go ahead and say Scumbag Peke. I'm pretty sure that lantern was actually meant for Rekkles to get out of danger at the back of the Baron pit. In the end, Rekkles did flash away and, of course, was able to survive as well after getting into stealth quick enough. And look at this Kerp now. Gonna take a bunch of damage as he tries to push forward. There's the turret finally going down the outer tower in this bottom lane. Leaves FNATIC ahead in turret kills at 4-3.
So I do have to say Kerp has done a good job at getting into the right place at the right time. That black shield from Morgana is a definite help in that regard. But this is some of the wave play we were talking about. The piercing light from Lucian is doing a good job, and there's no lay wastes. So that minion wave that was, what, 2 or 3 minion waves deep has already been melted, but it's not stopping FNATIC. They're continuing the siege with their heals, their poke, and their good range.
Yeah, Pokecom is a pain in the rear end for MILLENIUM to dodge away from the hooking Kerp. Don't want to follow through for it, but Spear's now going in. Actually, Peke, previous binding that came out, he almost pounced into it in Cougar form before it timed out a position of FNATIC tanking up the turrets. As you said, because of those heals coming out, they can afford to do that.
And that is super smart play. YellOwStaR positioned so he can pull away the tank who was on the front line. They knew Dark Binding was down, and it is a very high cooldown. Even at max rank, it is 11 seconds. So notice how FNATIC, they'll look for the Dark Binding. Once it's been thrown out, I do very much expect them to move forward. When they feel the threat is too great, then they can back away. That zone control is so good. Pillar of Ice is strong, and if MILLENIUM continue to chase, you just put absolute 0 down.
That was slightly risky by Peke there, going through the wall of pain, actually taking a lot of damage from the lay waste, and then you will, of course, always forget that heal from Nidalee at this stage of the game is considerable. There's a culling coming out from Creaton, says probably had enough of this one, but he doesn't even finish off the entire minion wave. Meanwhile, as we speak of minion waves, the top lane is pushing heavy in favor of FNATIC as Creaton gets hooked, but again, no follow-through.
The question is, do FNATIC want to respond to that top lane? sOAZ could teleport and try get some damage down, or they could just rely on the minion wave. The minions will do it. Yeah. The minions are going to grab this for themselves. Somebody from MILLENIUM has to respond, because that wave will start pushing onto the inhibitor turret. FNATIC playing the map fantastically with those minion waves. They built it up many minutes earlier and set themselves in this extended siege. They've got Baron, they've got heal, they've got sustain. It's on MILLENIUM to make a play, and they're feeling forced to do it now.
And there we go, Cornex is going to come in. They managed to kick Rekkles back, but he will take the lantern away to YellOwStaR. Dies anyway, as Kerp will be able to get that kill. Cyanide won't be able to escape either, and now Kevin has got right in the middle of the team. Peke trying to spear in from the side. There is a run with the speed of sOAZ, and they lose 2 men for it. They got the turret, they got the top lane in a turret as well, so not the end of the world for FNATIC.
FNATIC should still be happy with the way that played out. Rekkles did the best he could to get out of a danger position, but it was just a great play by Cornex. Cornex really landed a good collection of abilities to get Rekkles into a dangerous position. They lose 2 for 0, but that's a very big minion wave, and FNATIC are still in control of the game. They are still in control of the map, and Baron has worn out anyway on the remaining team members. So good usage of that buff.
And Peke is landing some big spears right now. We've seen Jree forced to walk away from the wards he was trying to clear out, and just 2 of them holding MILLENIUM off the dragon area right there. Denying as much as they could from their own jungle as well, knowing that it's not very safe for the MILLENIUM guys to be in there. And this is going to be a dragon played on position and the holding power of this Pokemon.
Yeah, FNATIC are just using their abilities well. I'm not as blown away by that sort of Absolute Zero and Trundle Pillar and Box as I thought I would be, because under that inhibitor turret, the moment MILLENIUM engaged, there's so much dashes and movement spells from MILLENIUM that they can almost negate the physical slows and the physical terrain that gets put up by that pillar. So as long as MILLENIUM can keep finding those opportunities, they do have the possibility of turning the game around. And you've got to remember, Karthus just keeps scaling over and over, like longer and longer and longer rather, because you can't stop his damage. You know, he's going to deal that Requiem, he's going to deal that Death Defied, and you either have to buy a Zhonya's Hourglass, or get a Banshee's and hope to luck out that it turns on as you get hit by Requiem, so it's a smart pick. Oh, flash by Yellow.
Flash coming in, but again, we see the damage from the side. Creaton at less than half HP in a flash like that. We've got a Baron coming up again in 1 minute and 3 seconds from now. FNATIC, of course, did get the last one. MILLENIUM can't afford to let them have a second in a row.
They can't, and it's going to be up to cottonX or Jree to land the CC that gives them a play to get control back. MILLENIUM are down to their inhibitor turrets. They have nothing else to work with in lanes, which also puts importance on their vision. They've got 3 sweepers right now, and I don't think they've got enough vision on their side of the jungle. So it's even risky for MILLENIUM to be moving around and farming these lanes because they don't have absolute CS. And here's cottonX trying to make something happen.
He's gone real deep from that one. The Lantern as Peke goes to the other side. Split up. Rekkles going to be the target though, and they're going to get onto him. Peke though, unstoppable as he lands another one. sOAZ has TP'd in, and that means the death of Jree. It was the Requiem that came in there and wasn't able to finish anyone off. They did get Rekkles in the end though, but they may pay the ultimate price here. This could very well be the end of MILLENIUM for now, as Creaton will surely fall as well, trying his best to get away and finish off sOAZ. That didn't, Cyanide, sorry, that didn't work out for him. cottonX, of course, went down right at the start, and that is, unfortunately for MILLENIUM, got it the second time. No one saw it, Peke, you're all good. Baron for FNATIC here.
4 for 2 after MILLENIUM tried to force the play, and FNATIC just responded fairly well. They had enough time to kite to get the damage down. cottonX is going in!
Going in, there's 2 men available for him. Maybe he gets to one of them, but will he get away from Peke? No, he won't. Peke's godlike, showing why teams ban Nidalee over and over and over and over again against FNATIC.
Yeah, doing a very, very good job. 8-1 and 2, he's farming up a storm. He's been in the right place at the right place at the right time. And in terms of that previous team fight, he was the one that was jumped on. cottonX tried to kick him back into the rest of the squad, and because cottonX couldn't get a good Dragon's Rage, it actually allowed Peke to reposition and start throwing out those javelins. MILLENIUM then became split. They were so focused on killing Rekkles, it allowed the rest of FNATIC to back up. And I'm quite happy to see that FNATIC's Blade of the Ruined King Trundle actually is supplementing that slightly lower damage for the FNATIC squad. And they're playing to their strengths very effectively. Cyanide's Absolute Zero, while not game-changing, was still very powerful in those tight corridors, because all of MILLENIUM had to run over him and past him to get into the fight, and he still managed to get away with his life.
Now FNATIC are on ward clearing duty here around Baron, doing a fantastic job of that as well. Not much going to be left by the time they finish here for MILLENIUM, and by not much, I don't think they've actually got vision of the Baron itself. Here is the push through. Peke actually will join in, and watch the spears coming in from the side. There's the first one, dodged by cottonX.
Very good sidestep. MILLENIUM, if they get caught by the death sentence, FNATIC may pounce. On the other side of the coin, Flash and Exhaust is available for Kerp. So if a team fight were to break out, he needs to use those abilities to get in the center of the FNATIC squad. No Flash for cottonX. So that's very important. cottonX may be able, or may get shut down. Rekkles wants Jree.
Rekkles wants Jree, and not risking it too much there. Not going to go too far forward, and FNATIC actually starting to back off. This ward has been a bit of a pain for them, because it's meant that they could see each of those spears actually coming before it got over the wall. That allowed most of them, at least, to dodge that one. Jree, in fact, walked into the last one as he stepped back a little bit earlier than he probably should, but the spears, as we said before, 8-1-2 Nidalee with a Death Cap, with a Void Staff, Morellonomicon, the Sorcerer's Shoes, and
that's
that
Exhaust.
Dean's Unholy Grail Exhaust is going to be used. The Wall of Pain goes down as well, and xPeke's down to less than half HP. This could be the chance for MILLENIUM. Kevin going to dive into the back. Peke going to go low. sOAZ trying to tank up, but in the end, he's fallen incredibly low as well. They do finally get rid of the AD carry. Kerp going to catch another spear. He's finished off by an auto attack out of Cyanide, but here comes Requiem. How many will it get? It gets just the one.
So that is FNATIC to a T. That is a kite and fight composition. As soon as MILLENIUM engage, FNATIC are on the peel, on the retreat, all the while laying down damage. Rekkles has got so much attack speed and move speed that he's attack moving as he's retreating. And xPeke landed the javelin toss that won them that fight. It chunked Creaton so low that the absolute zero got the kill, landed the damage. FNATIC once again trade 4-for-1 favorably, and are they going to secure the Baron? It is a very, very good fight for them, and it's just the strength of their composition. As long as they are on the retreat, MILLENIUM are always going to be at a disadvantage. The moment FNATIC stop, MILLENIUM can win team fights, but they haven't been forced to yet.
No, and controlling everything here on the map. Big objectives all going FNATIC's way. All 3 dragons, both Barons. 4th Baron will
Watch Creaton
as well.
Watch Creaton's HP. xPeke's going to get pushed away. Not only does the Dragon's Descent push him, but the kick from Lucian, the Dragon's Rage, also knocks him further back. And this just threading the needle. Bang! And he just gets popped by Cyanide. If Creaton had been able to chase Cyanide and sOAZ, 1 or 2 more auto attacks could have killed him. I mean, you've seen how low everyone goes to this Requiem. Watch the HP bar. 1 or 2 more hits from Creaton could have got them 2 kills, could have prevented Baron. Unfortunately, Creaton ate a massive, massive spear from xPeke, and it prevented all that happening. So FNATIC now in good control. We've seen them siege. It took them a long time. Don't forget that. When they were pushing that bottom lane, it took a long time to get the tower. And now we need to see how they break those inhibitor turrets, because they're even more difficult to secure.
They are, but as it proved down bottom there, it only needs 1 big spear to land, and then MILLENIUM simply have to collapse on themselves and retreat to the next safe place, which honestly there's not many of those safe places still remaining on the map. Of course, every turret outside of the base has already been picked off by FNATIC. The 6-3 turret lead, showing the control that they have over this game. We can see that finally we're seeing a few more Negatron cloaks coming out, so Banshee's Veils o'clock, I think, is the time for MILLENIUM here.
There's no doubt in my mind. They need to get those up as quickly as possible. And I like the way FNATIC has grown with this comp. I think they're using the Nunu pretty effectively. The moment MILLENIUM starts to engage, Cyanide has always been in a pretty good position, and that is a massive spear. Cottonex, he does have home guard, so he should be able to respond quickly enough. But what I really like, sOAZ is building up the minions in the top lane. He has teleport available, so he can get to the top inner turret, or he can TP down if a fight breaks out. This is how FNATIC secured the bottom inner turret, and here goes Creaton, he's on the front lines.
Yeah, they're gonna have to just kite back from this one, which they do expertly. Lantern being used nicely, and they've got so many slows and knockbacks there as well, with the Flay coming out, that they can definitely continue to do that, as we're going to see Kevin trying to hold back sOAZ, but he is the troll, and you're not going to stop him. He's going to take this turret without even losing half of his health.
sOAZ with Blade of the Ruined King is just melting through the turret. He even has the opportunity to turn on Kevin. If that fight were to break out, that is a very tanky sOAZ. Creaton shows himself in top lane. That gives up the tower on bottom lane. FNATIC are just running rampant because MILLENIUM have not made a play. MILLENIUM didn't commit to one or the other, end up losing both.
And hard to as well, though. You have to give them that in their favor as well. That how do you really get in and engage on this FNATIC team? Yeah, you get a wall of pain onto xPeke, but he just leaps back to the lantern that was already there from YellOwStaR. YellOwStaR can play them back out. Nunu throws a snowball onto whoever's going to get in their faces first. Meanwhile, you've got to deal with that pressure that sOAZ is putting down on the top lane. And Kevin, as you mentioned earlier on, the whole Shyvana versus Trundle matchup, which I suppose if you do combine them,
collate them
Shyvana,
together,
something like that, he can steal all his stats away, and he's just not even scared of sitting under the tower, taking all the damage from Kevin and probably tanking up the turret at the same time.
So the problem for MILLENIUM, their composition needed to not fall behind. I know that sounds super generic, but because of the kite and fight team that FNATIC have put together, now that MILLENIUM are behind, this 14,000 gold lead could be double in value, because they need to get through so many things to get onto FNATIC. They need to get through that Trundle, the Nunu, the Thresh, and all of his disengage to get to 2 members of FNATIC who have all of the tools in the world to stay alive. The pounce, the heal, the ambush stealth. So in order for MILLENIUM to actually turn this game, they need to have a Dark Binding result in a kill. That is their safest one. Cottonex can obviously pull a insec, as we like to call it, get in, kick somebody in range. But I think it's going to boil down to a good dark binding or catching FNATIC spread out. And Connex, they're going to try again, but again, it's a half commit, and Jree's instantly forced back.
They run away, Jree takes a spear to the face. Meanwhile, sOAZ is on the Nexus turret. Kevin's trying to deal with him, but the super minions coming in. The rest of the team are pulled away, and that's the second inhibitor of the game coming in. However, Peke getting caught, kicked in there, but he's got his cleanse available. That gets him away. Cyanide now with the absolute zero going down. Kerp trying to get into the middle of the team, which he manages, but it's a double kill for the Rat. Finally, the Requiem will start to be channeled through, but it's not enough to finish off the Rat-a-tat tank. Gives 3 kills to the Rat, and now FNATIC are on to the third and final inhibitor.
It's not over yet. Rekkles is going to deal the damage, but sOAZ gets the killing blow. FNATIC, they're on the Nexus turrets. They have just won the game with a phenomenal kite and fight comp.
Jree trying to stay away at the back of the fountain there, and sOAZ and the rest of FNATIC with those 4 men down will pick off the Nexus turrets. The Nexus itself goes down, and FNATIC